frequent question that I get asked a lot is, are EVs the future of cars? And should I get an EV for my business? That's a really complicated answer. I feel like a politician when I start talking about this type of stuff because I can't just give you a yes or no question. What I like to say is that it boils down to the resources that you have available to you and the type of work that you're trying to do. Now, I have an EV vehicle and I have a hybrid vehicle. And for my business and the way the infrastructure is set up right now across the nation, I think hybrid vehicles are going to become the ultimate winner over the EV versus internal combustion engine setup. What we are seeing right now on the fleet side of things is that if you do get an EV vehicle, you have a very limited range, and they're also very dependent upon the weather. For example, the car that I drive every single day, which is a Tesla, gets about 70 to 60% of the full range in cold weather. That's because it takes a lot more to heat the cabin and to heat the batteries to allow the motors to operate as effectively as possible. Now, the bad thing is when you have a vehicle that's a delivery vehicle and it's very cold outside and you lose that range, you lose that opportunity to be able to go out and do deliveries all day long. Most of these companies that you see like Amazon that's running vehicles are running 2 and 3 shifts and they're just switching the drivers and filling up with fuel. Now, electric motors are much more efficient than internal combustion engines. The issue that I see from an environmental standpoint is that we are still burning fossil fuels to create the electricity, and then there's lots of inefficiencies that we have with generating electric. What's fantastic is that we are making forward progress on the efficiency of EV vehicles, but we haven't really kept up with the efficiency of the production of electricity and the grid to be able to charge it. My theory is that going forward, we're going to see a lot more diesel electric trucks and a lot more hybrid vehicles that are going to be out here with electronic motorized EV drive lines and then a generator that runs off an internal combustion engine. When we have done audits for people who are determined if they're going to go EV or not, the main issues that we have found are range and charge time, because people who are running these vehicles need to be able to cycle them quickly between the different swing shifts that they operate. And that's one of the things in the luxuries that we have when we go with fossil fuels. So what I think is going to happen in the next 20 years is that we're going to see most of your vehicles be diesel electric, you're going to see hybrid electric, and you're going to see a combination of some of those fossil fuels still running and operating. What's great is that we've done a really good job from an engineering standpoint in the automotive space and the heavy truck space on reducing the carbon footprint that these vehicles are outlaying. The emissions that are coming out of the tailpipe are getting better and better. There are a lot of issues that are having mechanical issues, and it would be great if we could figure out how we don't have to get diesel engines to regurgitate the exhaust fumes back into the cylinders, but that just seems like what they've come up with so far for the EPA ratings. Me personally, I enjoy working on EV vehicles. There's less fluids that we have to keep, and there's less maintenance that has to happen. But you still need tires. You need less brakes because of regenerative braking, but you still need brakes. And you still need all your steering, suspension, your door handles, all of those things still brake. What I would really love to see happen is I would love to see us move towards cleaner energy production, as well as reward those companies that are doing a fantastic job like Tesla in making these vehicles. I think it was 300,000 Teslas were produced in 1 quarter. That's a lot of vehicles getting put onto the road. That's also a lot of load that's going to be put on our grid and our systems. From me, from a fleet perspective, from working on the vehicles, they're not horrible to work on. It's just like when cars went from carbureted to fuel injection. There's a lot of things that you have to learn that are different, and there's a lot of safety protocols you have to be putting into place, especially on your big rigs, because you have 3-phase trucks that are coming out right now that if you have an arc flash, it's super dangerous and you can really hurt yourself and kill yourself if you're not being careful. And there's similar things with fossil fuels where you can't smoke a cigarette around a gas can because it could explode. So on a very high level, there's lots of little nitty-gritty things that can be said. And this is a very hot topic item, but from a fleet perspective, if you're looking to add vehicles that are EV, the things that you have to consider are, do you have the ability to charge it at your location? Contact your electrical provider and see what they can do about putting in the chargers that you're going to need. how quickly do you need to charge it, and how frequently do you need to charge it. Those are going to be huge factors that determine whether or not you can switch to an EV vehicle. For example, we're talking to a moving company called Western Transport, and they're trying to figure out how can they electrify their fleet. Well, one of the things that they do is they have packing trucks that show up with tons of boxes to pack all the personal items of whatever materials are being moved. And that would be a fantastic candidate for an EV vehicle like the E-Transits. So the E-Transits have a range that's really effective around 120 miles. And if you're operating within the DC area, that's going to be a great place for you to start because the cardboard is not super heavy. You can put in quite a bit of volume in one of those transit vans and you can deliver it to the job site and start the packing crew from getting all those things together. So I would say in a nutshell, going EV is very dependent upon the use. There's great use cases for EV and there's other use cases that don't make sense. This isn't a one-stop solves all problems. If that was the case, we'd have one auto manufacturer and one vehicle type. It's a very complicated question. It's a really hot topic. Some people have very strong opinions on it, and I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of comments on this video. From my perspective as a mechanic, I like the direction that we're going in. As a car enthusiast, I like the direction that it's going in. I still love my internal combustion motors. I still love racing cars. I still love driving trucks. I just think that this is going to be the transition that we see. It's going to go from internal combustion engine to something like a diesel electric. And then eventually when we have the charge network, you're still going to have that hybrid vehicle where it's diesel electric and fossil fuel as well as EV. And it's really just going to depend on charging capacity, the time it takes to charge it, the grid and infrastructure that we have, and how many times you need to drive that vehicle per day.